Madam Speaker. I did not get to speak on this the first time through, and will do everybody a favor and not repeat everything that I know was said on Bill 2 the first time through. You're welcome. And I'll close with a short story at the end, and I promise it'll be short. Through my reading of the legislature, Bill 2, though, it appears to me that the intent is to support economic growth by cutting bureaucratic red tape, and that is certainly a noble intent. I know it's one that we all support in here. Alberta gets a bit of a bad rap, I think, with energy development because there is so much red tape in the regulatory system. So I do applaud the government for working with industry to try and change that fact. Bill 2, I think, is a step forward, although, as you know from previous debate, there are some reservations. Now, we've heard from a lot of members on this. A lot of my colleagues, I think, have done a great job outlining the concerns that their constituents have with it. Many of the same concerns that my constituents have brought forward to me. So, as I say, in the spirit of efficiency, I won't go back over all of them, but I will make a few points. Madam Speaker, it's common sense, I think, that no organization, any organization, should have investigative powers over itself. I suppose there are exceptions to the rule, and somebody could always come up with one, but in general, it seems to be a problem in terms of optics with the public. And you can think of any example you want. Think about police forces, for instance, which I have the utmost respect for. Any time a body investigates itself, it opens itself up to questions, and so we worry about those things. The proposed new regulator is to gather together different government entities under one roof. Now, those entities that are being gathered already have a process in place, it's my understanding, for decisions to be reviewed by an independent body if concerns are raised. Wouldn't it make sense for that process to remain in place under the new regulator or even to be enhanced? Some of the things I've heard from my constituents, as again, I know we all reach out to stakeholders to ask people what they think before we get up and speak. We should always do that. I'm told that it's not procedurally fair from some, that a third independent party needs to be considered. I think we all recognize we live in one of the greatest countries in the world, probably the greatest province in the world, certainly economically. We're the driver of this country. So why in a province like this, in a country like ours, is the government proposing the regulator of a major industry investigate itself? And I just want to share a short story with you from my riding of Chestermere Rocky View, and if you could all imagine sort of putting yourself in the shoes of these people as I share it with you. It comes from a couple of my constituents. They live in Bearspaw, one of the most beautiful areas in this province, just northwest of Calgary. Names are Phil and Lee. Well, one day, Lee, who's lived in his home for about 20 years, notices 17,000 square feet of concrete being poured, about 400 meters from his residence. Obviously, he opposes this. He does some investigating, complains to the NRCB. Now, a lot happens after that, but in short, a feedlot is grandfathered back to 2002, despite the fact that it's poured in 2006. So Lee spends an awful lot of money and an awful lot of time seeking justice, seeking the truth. The residents started a judicial review about the NRCB's procedural fairness. Early 2009, more than 6 court hearings, nearly 4 years later, a lot of money from Phil and from Lee, Justice Hall, the Alberta Court of Queen's bench, vacated the NRCB decision and called for a proper and thorough new investigation by, guess it, the NRCB. Therein is the problem. Now, what Phil has said to me and Lee has said to me is, in their view, it is the fox in charge of the henhouse. I know that's an overused phrase in here. I think we're on the right path to try and make the right decisions, but I raise this concern tonight for the residents in my riding because I've heard it from several people. That's the point I wanted to make. Thank you for your time, Madam Speaker.